Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to my first Savage Sword recap update. As you guys may or may not know, I'm running two different groups through a Savage Swords by the Red Room adventure. Two different parties doing kind of the same thing. Their reactions and the things that they've done. Similar but not identical. A lot having to do with the first party is made up by Coco B, Melkor, Dungeon Master Bloodworth, and our good friend DM Beelzebubba, who unfortunately missed the first session, but I'm really hoping that he will make it for this Wednesday night's game. And then the second group is much larger. It's got Bo from Bo Paints Minis, that darn cat, our friend Bobby, Mark from Mark's Genre Mixer, my dog, of course, Omen Owl, Mac Thompson will be joining us. If I miss somebody, I'm sorry. The dog is. I'm gonna shut the door real quick, just to shut him up. And also, Mac Thompson couldn't make it. I'm hoping again he will be here for our Friday night game as well. But so far, the parties, I'm just going to refer to them as the party from now on, just because it was, both sessions were a little bit character finalization, and then 2/3 of actual role playing, which everybody did really well. Certain players a little new to that sort of style of role playing. Some of them are a little more familiar with just hack and slash kind of thing, and most of it was getting to know the people in the caravan. The Amir Morbentos is going from point A to point B, starting in Akabula, going to Zahadar. I believe that's the way we set it up. I have to check with Miguel because Zadar is not on the map, and I want to put it on the map or have it shown on the map, and if not, I could just change the name to where they're actually going. And of course, they had some interactions with him. He's a crusty old merchant prince dealing in spices and silks, and he's also transporting a group of 5 young princesses, ladies in waiting, in their hopes to wed a wealthy noble in Zahadar. And of course, they've met the steadfast, loyal captain of the mercenary band, of which they've hired on as parts of. Some of the players are actually just passengers because they're not men at arms, so to speak. And they've met the. Let's go over some of the weirdos in there. There is everybody's favorite Agramon, a wizened, skinny, old ancient driftwood of a piece of driftwood of a man, barefoot, barely clothed, walking the entire distance, singing the entire way, shaking his rattle staff and trying to scare away the evil spirits that might plague the caravan along its journey, and a couple of other interesting fellows, or maybe not interesting, just something to keep their eyes out for. A young individual named Marcel, who seems to be quite curious about the old man, seen spying on him, giving him very concerned looks, whether it be for good or ill. The party shall find out. And then a young individual who seems also preoccupied with the ladies in waiting. One in particular, he's caught his fancy, and he cannot seem to stay away from trying to be as near to her as possible. And along the journey, as these things go, they of course ran into one of my all-time favorite, the desert-dwelling monstrosities, that being the giant scorpion. Each party ran into a fair number of them, according to the size of the party and the group. One of the larger party also has a retinue of almost a dozen additional men-at-arms. So I had to beef up that party's encounter with the giant scorpions, of course, because otherwise one player character's NPC followers could have, effectively taken them all out, and that wouldn't have been very much fun for the party, especially since that particular player was almost entirely absent for the latter half of the game because of, real world activities, and that would have, kind of spoiled everybody's fun. But they managed to survive. I can't say the same for the NPCs. There were several casualties. Sorry, Bobby, you lost two men-at-arms, and the other campaign group lost at least one NPC who was snipped in half by the old pinchers, claws of the giant scorpions. And both parties left or finished the evening with a little bit of a reward from the caravan master for heroism and that sort of thing. And then they made camp for the evening, and that's where we left off, and that's where I'm going to leave you guys. Not so much hanging, but if you're curious of this game, there's all kinds of information on my Discord where you can check out the maps and the NPCs and things like that. The other part of this update is Miguel has already created a 1.2 version of the PDF. I don't know if that's going to be revised again. I'm assuming so, because we've come up with a few more questions, suggestions, and ideas. Me especially, I would really appreciate some of the combat tables and other tables, not the big giant random ones, but some of the specific things here and there for like armor and weapon damages and things like that, combat maneuvers, especially toward the back of the book in kind of like an appendix, like a lot of RPGs have, because this is a monster 600 plus page book, and even with the hardcover version, I've got half a dozen tabbed bookmarks in it, having to flip back and forth. I'm going to work on a DM screen as per our friend Omanow's suggestion. There's some fine pocketed Dungeon Master screens out there, but I need to get a printer, and I want to make sure all that stuff is finalized before I invest in one of those and make sort of a mini DM guide with just the pertinent data and charts and things like that I'm constantly referring to in play, and having to thumb through 600 pages even with the bookmarks can slow things down. And with this game being as not going to call it 4D, but I want it to be as role play heavy as possible, because I believe that's what Miguel and gang kind of expect from their games, and trying to encourage my players to get to know the people in the caravan, because that's where some of the fun and the intrigue is. I mean, they're going from point A to point B. There's not a lot of stops along the way in the desert, and there's a finite number of NPCs that they can deal with and learn things from, and some people trying to hook up, and all the stuff that you'd want to do in a role-playing situation where you get to really play your character and interact with the NPCs. But that's what I got for you this morning. Actually, that's a big fat fib, because today's Tuesday, and throughout this month I decided just tonight, actually, because I couldn't decide which video to give you, so I'm going to give you a God Wars recap. Episode 18 will be following this one. That way you get 2 for Tuesday, like the old days on the radio. And I don't expect everybody to watch the God Wars one, only the people who are involved in that, because it is coming to a close in about 2 or 3 weeks. So get your orders in, and I will see everybody else in the funny papers.